Good Monday morning, December 2nd, 2024. Why do I always wait to cough? I'm terribly sorry. I Constance says, "Oh, that's so rude. You cough in front." Well, I apologize. I don't have to tell any of you that the world out there uh, appears to be just going to hell. Now, if you're lucky enough to have a roof over your head, relatively warm, food in your pantry, count yourself extremely lucky. And if you're in an area that isn't flooded or burned out or too hot or too cold or snowed in, count yourself very lucky and hold a good thought for folks that don't enjoy those things at the moment. But the question arises from those of us who at least presume to be sensitive to the more cosmic dimensions to our existence, and try to look for at least some kind of pattern in what's going on. Okay, fortunately, we have a pretty good idea of the general trajectory of civilization, philosophy, human thought. For a few thousand, perhaps tens of thousands of years of human history. And astrologers like to look for these patterns from landmark phenomena of the heavens, as if, oh, the last time that happened up there, the shit really hit the fan, or last time that happened, a wonderful love goddess took over, and we had queens, and life was really good in this respect, or maybe a little bad in this respect. And oh, remember that whole period where we were cannibals, and so they look for patterns. Here is a crude little diagram I threw together about when the sun is in this case, Aquarius. Now we say the sun is in Aquarius, but that means that on an equinoctial landmark date of the year, Aquarius seems to be in back of the sun. The sun is in Aquarius. So if we would think about that, whatever cosmic energy or influence that is beaming our way from that sector of the zodiacal belt, whether real or imagined, is filtered through the sun to us. Right there in the middle, that's us, that gray dot. Okay? So when the sun's in Aquarius, Aquarius gets its influence translated, transformed, like a train transformer, transformed and then beamed with the sun's particle or rays to us on Earth. But look, just on the other side of the zodiac, 180 degrees away, is Leo. And whatever influence Leo is chugging away there gets beamed to us straight up. No sun filter, just flat out Leo beam right there to us on Earth. So in a sense, when we say the sun's in Aquarius, we're really saying we're in a period of Aquarius Leo period. We count the pole in the same way that, if you can point out Gemini there it is, Gemini. Okay, Gemini, and on the other side is Sagittarius. Now, the tarot cards associated with Gemini and Sagittarius are the lovers, and the Temperance card, or the art card. Both the alchemical cards that go Salve for the lovers card Gemini, Coagule in Sagittarius. Can you start to see the significance of this pole thing going on? So we can say that, oh, we're in the age of Aquarius. Yeah, we're in the age of Aquarius Leo. Okay. Believe me, I'm not going to read the whole thing. This essay, I wrote the entire essay. It's called The Precession of the Equinoxes and the Equinox of the Gods, and the Metamorphosis of the Gods. Okay. And if there's no other reason for you to own this book, that extended essay is the one. So, Angels, Demons, and Gods in the New Millennium. I'm sure Weiser and me would appreciate it if you had at least one in your library. Since at least the 3rd millennium BC, Vedic astrologers were aware of the spherical shape of the Earth, the law of gravity, and the heliocentricity of the solar system. Centuries of observation also led them to surmise that our sun and our solar system, our whole solar system, were evolving in an elliptical path about perhaps a dual sun or some other inscrutable point in the galaxy. By observing the relative position of the sun against the backdrop of the zodiacal band at the vernal equinox, it was discovered that the sun seems to fall a bit short of its starting position of the previous year, resulting in the loss of approximately 1 full degree every 72 years. Consequently, the sun appears to move backwards across the belt of the zodiac at approximate rate of 1 zodiac sign every 2,160 years. Now, astrologers disagree upon the exact length of the astrological ages, giving estimates ranging from 2,000 years to 2,400 years. For the purpose of this little essay, I will use the commonly accepted modern calculation of 2,166 years. This results in a great astrological year. That's to go through all 12 signs of the zodiac. A great astrological year of 26,000 years. 12 periods of 2,166.66666666, in which the entire zodiacal belt is traversed. Now, I give a little essay on astrological periods, more or less within human consciousness. I start with the age of Leo Aquarius, because that's also where I'm going to end, with the age of Aquarius Leo. And I give little essays. Okay, so I talk about the age of Leo, 10,996 BC to 8,830 BC. I talk about, what Homo sapiens were up to and stuff. And I have to confess that much of it is sort of from a European uh, uh, point of view, because that's what most of the readership here was comfortable with identifying with and knowledgeable of the events that I'm talking about. Then there was the age of Cancer, which is Cancer Capricorn, from 8,830 BC to 6,664 BC. Okay, and we move into what the cultures were doing and things like that. I'm going to skip ahead here. Then we got the age of Gemini, Gemini Sagittarius. That's Mesopotamia. That's things really started to take off. Sumeria, etc. And I've got the charts right there of these ages. There I start with age of Taurus, age of Aries, age of okay, and then a close-up of the age of Aries. Okay. I have other charts too, don't worry. Now, the age of Aries was the age of Aries, sun being filtered through Aries, or filtering Aries, but on the other side was Libra, justice. Sun is exalted in Aries, and in Egypt, the great astrological age of Aries saw the development of magnificent forms of solar worship. Okay. And then that was Hammurabi, the lawgiver, and the legend of Moses, the lawgiver. Okay. But all I want to do is read to you today the age that we're just coming out of, the age of Pisces, Virgo. Okay. And my crude arbitrary calculations put that at 166 BC. I mean, your great-grandfather almost remembers that. At least mine would. To the age of the year 2000, approximately 2000. 19 something, perhaps. Okay. Pisces, Virgo. The Hellenistic fable, or a Hellenistic fable, relates how Aphrodite and her child Eros were pursued by the devil god Typhon. In order to escape destruction, they transformed themselves into two fishes, tied their tails together, and hid themselves beneath the waters of the river Euphrates. This charming little tale is a remarkable allegory of an age that would attempt to suppress natural and erotic love, but would only succeed in driving it deeper into the stream of our subconscious mind. True to style, this suppressed love would resurface in the very middle of the Pisces Virgo age as amour, courtly love, and the cult of the Virgin, Pisces Virgo. Although it's difficult for us to observe when examining the prehistoric records, each age begins with a level of social stress. And this is the point I'm trying to get across to you this morning. Each age begins with a level of social stress, which triggers intense spiritual polarization. One could almost say that with the dawn of each new age, some people become more subtle and enlightened, and the remaining idiots figure out better and better ways to make the world a more unpleasant place. With each passing age, we become better and worse at the same time. The gods inevitably reflect both extremes. For the Piscean age mystic, the concept of sacrifice became more abstract and stylized, a sacrifice of oneself. In many cults, bread, grain, or wine was substituted for the human sacrifice, the human victim. However, for the socially, politically, or spiritually disenfranchised, the New Age intensified the cycle of drudgery and brutality. Subtlety was pounded out of the souls of the masses, and they yearned nostalgically for a Neolithic savior, a fresh flesh and blood human sacrifice. The new gods of Christianity would supply them with both. The age of Pisces dawned with a golden promise of world order and enlightenment. As brutal as the Roman conquest appears to 20th century sensitivities, it served to spread technology, literacy, and a higher standard of living throughout the Mediterranean world. Remarkably respectful of the gods of vanished or vanquished nations, the Romans adopted the various local deities and placed them in the Roman pantheon, side by side with their gods of state. In Greece and elsewhere, the free-form revels of the orgiastic cults of the previous age were fine-tuned and institutionalized into the degree structure of the mystery schools. The Eleusinian mysteries, which had flourished throughout the better part of the age of Aries, still attracted thousands of candidates well into the Christian era. For over a millennium, its great passion play, The Rape of Persephone, mirrored in its sublime perfection the changing roles of the gods of antiquity. The basic solar myth crystallized in the liturgies of scores of religions whose object of worship and way to salvation was a dying god. Most notably among these was Mithraism, the great Persian mystery religion, wildly popular at the dawn of the Piscean age. Its appeal was truly universal and welcomed members of every stratum of society, slaves, nobles, farmers, merchants, and soldiers. All were washed clean by the blood of the slain bull, all protected after death by their solar deity. All brethren and equal in the subterranean Mithraic temple. Spread by the armies of Rome, Mithraism was the only living religion to seriously challenge the ascendancy of Christianity. In order to conquer this popular sun god, the new Christian faith was forced to put a sun god of its own forth. To do this, it had to adopt practically all the recognizable traditions and tenets of Mithraism. Okay, and I rattle those off. According to tradition, Mithras' birth was in a cave on December 25th, was witnessed by shepherds who were informed by the event by a host of angels. He was mediator between God and humanity. After being washed in the blood of the sacrificed bull, the devotee was considered purified and eligible for resurrection and life eternal. By eating cakes of bread symbolic of the divine body, and drinking consecrated wine, symbolic of the divine blood, initiates of Mithraism commemorated their moment of salvation. Mithras will return someday to, quote, shepherd, unquote, the souls of the dead to celestial heaven. And then I compare Jesus with Krishna, born of virgins, and kings in the area slaughtered all the innocents and stuff like that. Mithraism was not the only religion to suffer brazen plagiarism at the hands of the Christian founding fathers. Then I give other examples, okay. As despicable as it may appear to us today, it provides us our first good look at the mortal, dirty work behind the metamorphosis of the gods. As romantic and unlikely as it may sound, there appears to have actually been a body of individuals who, at least at first, were profoundly in tune with the new magical formula of the dawning age. However, unlike the god-makers of the past who altered and amended the details of popular myths to more accurately reflect the changing realities of local politics and religion, these adepts, or those inspired by them, made a conscious effort to gather up and funnel the spiritual momentum of every significant religious movement extant, and then focus that energy upon one new and ecumenical God. It did not seem too far-fetched an enterprise. After all, the world was unified geopolitically by one government in Rome. Why could there not now be one universal? Another word for universal is Catholic religion. Ambitiously, the new faith attempted to distill the essence of scores of popular religions, passion plays, usually solar allegors, and squeeze the attributes and powers of the gods of all ages into two, later three personages. Okay, so that's what I want to say about that. We're now in the age of Aquarius. And I'm going to sort of leave things up to you as to whether this is a proper comparison of the age of Aquarius, Leo. Remember, Crowley identified himself as the great beast of Leo. Well, wait a second. I will read on for a moment with your permission. The astrological age. Now, I'm not talking specifically about a magical aeon, which Crowley says could be of any length whatsoever from 100 years to 4,000. Okay. But the astrological age, which is a literal tick on the clock that you can see, you can calculate. And I give the quote, the epigraph that I'm quoting myself. The gods of one age become the devils of the age to follow. The priests look forward to the coming age and see only the end of the world. And not being endowed with the gift of prophecy, I'll not presume to predict the details of Aquarian age worship. I will nonetheless venture to predict that the gods of the Aquarian age will be diametrically opposed to the gods of the age of Pisces. Already, all over the world, we see the decay of the repressive patriarchal establishments that have held sway for the last 2,000 years. I might add at this point, 25 years after I wrote this, and we're also seeing the backlash to this fall of the patriarchal establishment. The backlash is nasty. It's almost comical to see how foolish and myopic old establishments appear when juxtaposed with the rational gods of universal human rights, women's movement, and the global environmental awareness. Again, violent reaction to this awakening. I suppose it's very natural for the participants of a revolution to despise and demonize the icons of the overthrown administration. The early Christian church perpetuated the legend that at the moment of Christ's birth, all oracles of antiquity fell silent, and an Egyptian sailor named Thomas heard an unearthly voice call to him from the Isle of Paxi, announcing, "Thomas, the great god Pan is dead." As historically dubious as this story is, it serves to illustrate my point. Pan, who started life as the endearingly mischievous god of Thracian shepherds, eventually became the transcendent symbol of all the pagan gods. His ruddy complexion, horns, cloven hooves became in the age of Pisces the very image of Satan, prince of evil. Does this mean that Jesus Christ will become the devil of the age of Aquarius? Well, to some people, their first, and I would say premature reaction is yes. Okay. But I say here, probably not. But the spiritual significance of his deity will in all likelihood be drastically different from that expounded by the exoteric doctrines of the last 2,000 years. And it will surely appear to the last vestiges of the Piscean age in their Handmaid's Tale view of reality. Oh, I threw that in. It'll appear to the last vestiges of Piscean age establishments that the new spiritual impulse is anti-Jehovah, anti-Allah, anti-Christ, and the gods of the new age are devils. After years in isolation on the Amanita Muscaria, rich Isle of Patmos, St. John the Divine wrote down his vision of the awesome and terrible events which were to characterize the end of his age. That would be the age of Pisces. Pisces, Virgo. This revelation was peopled with many strange and colorful spiritual personages, such as the 7 angels, 4 horsemen, the Lamb, the Lion of Judah, an eagle, locusts, and women clothed with a woman clothed with the sun, and a moon under her feet, a fiery dragon, and the serpent called the devil and Satan, and the archangel Michael, wild beasts, one from the sea and one from the earth, and perhaps the most colorful of all characters, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. It is she who becomes drunk on the blood of the martyred saints, an act that serves as a catalyst to the climactic defeat of the enemies of the Lamb. As it is often the case when one explores Kabbalistic literature, the villains of the exoteric narrative become the heroes of the esoteric interpretation. and vice versa. Naturally, at the beginning of each cycle, the gods of the new age will appear at first somewhat sinister. The more one is committed to the magical formula of the old age, the more strange and evil the new gods will appear. Keeping in mind the fact that John, or whoever wrote the book credited to him, was sensitive to the spiritual changes at the dawn of the Piscean age, can we in all fairness expect him to be an unbiased interpreter of the prophetic images that symbolize the forces that would in 2,000 years or so bring the age of his beloved Savior to an end? Perhaps for us, the whore of Babylon the great dragon, and even the beast 666 are perfectly wholesome spiritual personifications of the mechanics of the growth spurt of a new age. Now, in the title of today's talk, I put Kali Yuga, question mark, Aeon of Horus, question mark. Now, there is a debate, and it's really, truly one of those debates about how many angels can dance on the head of a pin. But in this case, it's a debate between Vedic mathematicians and astrologers and things like that, about the ages, as the Hindus see these ages, and they're called yugas. And if you could imagine, and they're different links, these yugas that are finely, anal retentively calculated how long they are. But just imagine. Well, why don't we do this? Why don't we assume that there is a massive black hole, gravitational event in the center of the Milky Way, and that the entire Milky Way, including us, is revolving around this gravitational point. Now, it's not a perfect circle, okay? It's an ellipse, and so things, as we approach the center, as we draw near the center, we speed up. Okay. Not only do we speed up, but whatever the subtle consciousness force that is emanating, if you will, from this gravitational event becomes stronger and stronger. And let's just assume, for the sake of the conversation, that as we draw closer, we get smarter and smarter. And it's that period where all the legends say we walked with gods, and we could read each other's minds. We could program our telephones. we could have a supernatural. Okay, and we get really smart and really wise and really and as we draw really close to that, but also as we're drawing close to it, we're speeding up. So those periods are shorter, and they increase as we get closest and start to decrease as we go around there. So that's what they say. It's an ascending kind of yuga as we're drawing near, and a descending yuga as it's getting longer, and the cream of the crop is when we're at the very closest. So you would see that there's like four major periods, and there's four major yugas: Treta, Dwapara, Kali, another one that escapes me at the moment. But then you've got one of those four yugas ascending, one of those four yugas descending, and then it goes around and comes back and does it again. Now, one of the most important books ever written in the English language is Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. Steve Jobs, at his funeral, made sure everybody went home with one. George Harrison had a box of them by the door, and everybody that came to his house, whether it was the mailman or his closest friends, got a copy of it as they left. It was the first book Constance and I read, or one of the first books we read in our beginning of our hippie adventure that we're still on. And Yogananda's master, which is Sri Yukteswar, both of them appear on the Beatles album cover, Sgt. Pepper. Sri Yukteswar was a mathematician and wrote a book called The Holy Science. It's still in print and available, where he calculates back in, say, 1887, that we were in, I believe, an ascending Dwapara Yuga. So that gave everybody hope. Yeah, well, the world's shit, but I think we're getting better. But so many other Hindu mystics assume, at least, and state that this is a Kali Yuga. And the argument is, well, we have such wonderful technological advances and things like that. Yes, but otherwise, emotionally, morally, the Kali Yuga would be the one where we're just, in no disrespect to Kali, but this is the most barbaric, stupid-ass, unwoke period of all the yugas. And it's hard to look around at the way people are behaving, the way countries are behaving, the way leaders are behaving, and not say, you're a freaking Kali Yuga personified, you bastard. But then, how pure is my heart to make that judgment? Anyway, it's up to you. As a matter of fact, if you think it'd be amusing, and you sort of have a basic understanding of the yugas and stuff, in the comments section below, just simply write if you believe we're in the Kali Yuga at the moment, or what yuga you think that we are in now and for the next yuga period, which, like I say, if it's a Kali Yuga, we're way out on the edge, and the Kali Yuga is the longest. That's the way it works. Anyway, until tomorrow, from the parking lot, continue to be good to yourself, be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Please love each other no matter what yuga it is.